they're pushing so hard that
Hmm.
they're squeezing the blood really out of all the muscles and everything. And when
Yeah.
they do that, all that blood has to fill back in, but they're also pushing all of the toxins and everything out of all the stuff that's building up inside your muscles and doing all this kind of stuff. So it's and you start kind of getting sick in the very beginning of it. So
Wow.
anyhow, we are live and hey there, hi there, ho there out in spray wash land. I know we'll get started here pretty quick. Ray will be joining us here in just a few minutes. He's got to get his camera hooked up and let some of you get online here and all that kind of fun stuff. But we're going to talk to Mr. Tired Man today. He's been out there doing all kinds of stuff, but you can see it in his face, man. He's tired.
It's been go, go, go. That's
Go,
for
go,
sure.
go. That's all there is to
Jet
it.
lag, you name it, I got it.
Yeah. Wait, because you flew in yesterday?
Yeah, so last night, and then
Uh-huh.
I didn't make my connecting flight, so my wife drove up, and I didn't get home till 1 o'clock last night.
Man, your wife is doing more than you are.
Oh, she always does.
Yeah.
She's a beast. She is a beast.
Yeah. What would we do without our amazing wives? I mean, I got to tell you, I often say I feel sorry for everybody else because I got the best. There's no way around it. But yeah, so it's super cool to have the right partner in place, and that's what it is. It's a life's partner. So anyhow, we'll talk about the sales boost, and we're going to talk about some other things. And Ray's finally on in here and all that kind of stuff. But you were out there at the Clipicon and the light boost and all that. How'd that go?
Yeah, it went really, really well. An awesome, awesome event. They had it, two classes, two classrooms, a lot of stuff going on. Really great group of people. The event went off amazing. It was really good. Got a lot of feedback from my class, and they had amazing speakers. John Majak kicked it off in the very beginning with the keynote, and it was really good, really
Yeah.
good. Set the mood, set the tone, and I mean that was my first time in Vegas, so it was really cool.
So did anything stay in Vegas?
What's that?
Did anything stay in Vegas? You know what happens in Vegas stays
That's
in
right,
Vegas.
stays in Vegas. No, I didn't get to go out too much. We went out one night to the old school Vegas,
Mhm.
and that was really cool.
Yeah.
I got to see down there. They had the LED screen like all the way down the road, like down
Yeah,
the.
that's really cool.
So that was cool.
You know, the actually a lot of people don't know this, but of course I'm extremely good looking and everybody knows that. But Ray used to be until he went to Las Vegas, and so
Lost my money and my hair.
there you go. Anyhow, so sales boost. Tell us what's coming up.
Yeah. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday this week, got some amazing speakers. We basically kick it off with like the basics, right? We start like if we were to hire a territory managers, we would take them through this 3-day process of grinding, if you will. So we go through the basics in day one, and then we basically role play. We'll do what we call table tune-ups after each speaker to take some action items away from those speaking classes. They're going to get a super disc with all our sales documents in there that they're going to use throughout the 3 days to really hone in their process. So it's not just mine. They make it their own, and then they get to basically implement it the week after. And so day 2 is really cool. I like day 2 because we do classroom setting from 8 o'clock to 12 o'clock. We're going to do a boxed lunch. And then we're going to go out on 2 56-passenger buses. And we're going to go out in the field, and we're going to do hands-on quotes. We have estimators that are going to go out and actually do it. We have a worksheet, and it's going to be really cool because they get to see the quoting process from the start to finish, what we look for, how we talk to the customer, the measurements, the CRM, everything. We don't hold anything back. We want to show and kind of, raise up the industry, if you will, right? Like help people make some money, get their average ticket up.
Right.
And then Saturday is basically whale fishing. It's all commercial day on Saturday. It's going to be at the Marriott, which is crazy because we clean the Marriott. So that's going to be a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to talk about that project and, do price structure. They're going to walk away with their own price structure. And so it's going to be a jam-packed 3 days of system building.
Nice.
And the very first thing you said was that the very first day is actually building their own sales stuff, right? And not because here's the thing. I mean, Pat can't sell like Doug. Doug can't sell like Pat. Ray can't sell like Doug. Doug can't sell like, we all have to have our own way of doing it. We learn processes and systems, right? But you can't sell like me, and I can't sell like you, and we can't sell. Nobody can sell like somebody else. You can kind of mimic, but you have to create your own thing. I've had that in the past where man, I'm just trying to sell like you, and I'm like, don't stop that.
Well, and something else you said that was real important, Pat, that everybody should take heed to is you'll set up your pricing. People will set up their pricing, not. You're going to show them what Pat Clark has done to be successful, but it's important to understand that Ray Burke may not have Pat Clark's pricing needs or requirements. So whenever you're sitting there going on with these guys and telling them, okay, this is what your company needs to look like as opposed to my company, because there are some integral differences on that. I think that's really good. And then the other thing that you said that I absolutely love is that after the speakers are done, each time you now sit down to the way I took it, you're actually going to go over that information and come by the tables and go, okay, what did we learn here? How are we going to apply this to what we did? Do we have any questions? Because you know it as well as I do. We've gone to enough events where we go to the huge convention, we go to the PWMCA or PWNA, and we write notes for 2-3 days out there, and we're literally running from class to class to class, and we never actually sit down and go, how does this apply to my business until after the 3 days are over and we're back on the airplane, or what did we learn? We've already forgotten what we've learned on there. So breaking that down and saying, hey, let's take some action points on what we've actually learned.
Yeah, the power of implementation, right? You get the excitement, you get the hype and everything, but I want executables for you, right? Because like you said, everybody's business is different. Everybody's pricing structure, depending on where you are in the country, is going to be different. And so this is for everybody in the home service industry. It's not just for like an exterior cleaning company either. And so that's cool too. We put a little spin on it. So we have call centers come into Sales Boost because they want to not just be a call center where they're taking it. They want to actually be a sales organization. So that's really cool too, is like they need to know the backing, right? And so we have multiple, I guess you say industries, but they're all in the home services coming. So we have like a tree company, right? Coming. We have landscaping. There's a bunch of them. So it's really cool to get the inside scoop of a home service company, how they relate, what their systems are to set up their sales team to do really good, right? But again, we don't want to build robots. It has to be genuine. And that's what we're going to talk about. It's not just a salesperson. It's going to be a home service consultant, or what I call a TSM, Territory Sales Manager. Mm-hmm. And then that way they're building their reputation.
Right. And you really built your company, Pat. I mean, we've known each other a long time. Yeah. And, I watched you as soon as, did you have sales managers? Did you have territory guys before you had technicians, or which happened first?
No. So the technicians happened first. So it was really hard for me to get a territory manager in the very beginning because I only had 2 trucks. I, had a part-time office lady in the office, if you will. Right. And so I actually had to get real creative. And I had to take my lead tech, my best lead tech that actually had some sales qualities, if you will, right? He was very like me. He knew the area. He could talk a lot. So I took my lead tech and moved him into the sales position. And then I was selling, he was selling. We had 2 territories. And it was like, ooh, I'm onto something, right? Because he was selling, I'm selling. Now we're booking up 3 trucks. And I'm like, all right, let's go. So then I put another one on, and the other one was easier because there was a track record, not just me, the owner, doing the sales. Like, yeah, you're the owner.
Right.
I kind of know you can sell. But
you should be selling a lot. Yeah.
That's right.
If not, there's a problem.
That's
Well,
exactly right.
actually, that's not necessarily true because some guys that run their trucks, they're not very good at sales, but they're awesome at the work. And so you hire somebody that's better at sales. Whatever position you suck at, you hire somebody better than you to run that position.
Yeah, that's a good point because I look. We're nice guys as business owners. We start off as technicians, right? And we work our way into CEOs. Well, I was really the nice guy, and I was out selling all the time. And sometimes I'd be like, well, we got a good week this week. Oh, you're on, Social Security. Let's do payments.
Mhm.
And I was always the nice guy for that. And not that that's a downfall by no means, right? It's
Mhm.
good to do good things. But I wasn't making the net profit that I should have been because my mindset was wrong. Like when our company started making a better net profit, I was able to serve the community, and still to this day we are, at a higher magnitude than what I originally thought I was doing, right? By free
Right.
house washes or whatever. But I
Yeah.
really wasn't that salesperson in the beginning. I had to start hiring people. And then when I started to hand them new pricing sheets every week, that wasn't me. Because I was afraid in the beginning.
Right. Right. And,
That's actually go ahead.
let me add this on there. But serving community is something really, really cool you just touched on, and I want to expound on that. And for guys that are sitting here, wondering how should I grow my company? Why should I grow my company? One of the best things in the world is whenever you can give away 10%, 5%, whatever percent of net profits to whatever you want to. I mean, yeah, you can keep them if you want. I can honestly say from being that guy in that situation that, if you had a $100,000 month versus $120,000 month, in your mind, you might think, oh, I'm making $20,000 more. Well, you're really not as the business owner. You're taking your salary. You might bump a little bit more to your retirement or something. But that 20% net that you're taking there because of a really, really good month isn't necessarily going to change your life. You've established your line of where you're at. But I'll tell you what, that $3,000-$4,000 could absolutely change somebody else's life if you're giving back to the community, if you're sponsoring a little league team, if you're giving to a church, if you're doing just some kind of community service where you're blessing other people, and then you're also getting blessed in return. Because trust me, it becomes a two-way street on there. Not that you're doing it for your own benefit, but just trust me, whenever you start giving back to the community, it's a big deal.
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of along the same line where I was saying that if you look at it and, when you start off and your tickets are typically on the lower side because you're not experienced yet, you don't know yet. And then the things that you think, if I could just give this person this, that's great and all that. But what you might be missing out on is that you can't afford to give as much. Even though you might give a free house wash, right? I gave that person a free house wash because they were on Social Security. That's great. Okay. But if you get your ticket prices higher and you get everything going higher, guess what? Now you can pay your guys to go out and give a free house wash. And it's still not impacting you. You're doing great now you can do 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. Getting your ticket prices up and knowing how to operate your business, how to operate the sales platform and the processes gives you the freedom to give even more than you may even realize that you can give.
Yeah. Yeah. And then getting your team involved on it too.
Oh, yeah.
Sales, service, and then you're coaching them to their goals and their why, and it becomes a different conversation, but then they're bought in. It's like it's not just the company anymore, it's the impact. And then there's so much that comes with that, right? Charity events, and you link up with a lot of people that are making money usually are going to charity events.
Yep.
So,
and I'll tell you what, it's a great place to meet those people that are going to use your services as well. Yeah. I was told a long time ago that, hey, you really want to meet the people that are in charge of making the decisions for this entity. Well, I know that one of the really things that they love is this particular charity, and they always go to the galas there. And if you'll go to those galas and let them know that you're a donor there, guess what? Because whenever that mid-level manager in the purchasing or facilities department is told that, hey, I met Ray with Spray Wash Exterior Cleaning the other day at the gala, and I'd like to see if we can work with them on something. Guess what happens? You get worked with,
Yeah, absolutely. So Dust to Glory is asking or saying, I need an office person, another tech, and a sales guy, but I'm so busy, I feel like I don't have the time to train them. Anybody ever been there or heard that kind of story before?
Never. No, you're doing something wrong, Dust.
Every single one of us have been in that spot, man. I'm telling you.
Never had that problem.
Don't
and here it is. The who was it that Confucius or some smart old dead guy said, the journey of 1,000 steps starts, 1,000 miles starts with one step. Do a little bit to set yourself on that track today. Do a little bit, the next day. I mean, I bet Pat probably has a checklist for an action plan on that, because Pat has a checklist for everything, don't you?
I think we're going to get into the checklist at some point, huh?
Yeah, we will. But no, it's imperfect action's better than no action at all, right? Like, I remember when I hired my first office lady, it was the scariest thing ever. I was like, how am I going to afford $600 a week? And it's just not there. We do 30% by putting somebody in place to hold me accountable to that checklist that you just had up, right?
Right.
So sometimes as the owner, we don't do the things. We do 20% of this, 20% of that, and 20%, and we're not doing 100% of everything we need to do. So it's like you're busy because you're doing all the things, but you're not really being proactive. You're being more reactive.
Exactly.
So by hiring those people, it will actually help you grow. But the office manager for sure before the salesperson, because that's going to get you to do sales fully. And then that technician will also help you to do more sales. And then you're training them while you're out doing sales. Hey, go start the job. Let me check in at 12 o'clock,
I agree with that wholeheartedly. And I'm betting the Ray does as well, where, when you start looking at things, your first person to hire that's not a truck person, because I think, as far as, when I start, I'm me by myself, maybe then I'll hire a technician and then maybe a second technician. But then my very next person that I need to hire is somebody that runs that office, because we've talked about it many times. I'm spraying a roof and the phone rings. You answer the damn phone. So I answer the phone. And then I got my guys, I could call out to them and they would write everything down. So the productivity that I had was just being drained by me answering the phones continuously. Okay. So I had to have somebody that could do my job. Plus I had to have somebody that answered the phone. And when I got somebody answering the phones, things just dramatically changed, and you'd be surprised at how much business that you're losing, number one, and how much more business you can gain that affords you the ability to hire a technician and to hire a salesperson and to pay for the person answering the phone.
Let me give y'all an example. Sitting here at my desk, this hits so far at home, because I'm stubborn and dumb and think that I'm semi-retired. But do you think my best efforts are meant cataloging and inventorying these parts that just came in on a shipment today? To go in there and count these. Oh, are there 50 of these in here and do that? No, it's really not. I'm a dodo, and I should be, I should be keel-hauled for, not doing the right thing on there. And then, imperfect action leads to, you made the imperfect action. Another old axiom, Pat, that we've heard before is, it is better to be first than best necessarily sometimes.
Yep. That's right.
Yep. Because you need to sometimes establish yourself in the market, and then you can work on perfecting yourself. But I tell you what, if you sit there and wait around to design the perfect thing or create the perfect system or whatever, then one, it's never going to get done. And two, you're an idiot because they don't make the perfect system out there. You know, the only perfect system is the one that God gave us. Because if you're so full of yourself that you think, oh, well, I've got the perfect sales system, I'm good. We're solid. I mean, we still constantly update plant and property protection class.
Yep.
I'm going to guess that you've probably put new stuff in Sales Boost this year that wasn't in there last year.
That's right.
And last year had stuff that wasn't in there in previous years, right?
Yep. Yes.
And it will continue to grow.
And I want to give a shout out to Todd on that. Todd, congratulations. You know, if y'all don't know Todd up in LaGrange, I mean, Todd woke up the other morning with a tiger in his backyard. Not really, but in theory, up in LaGrange, Georgia, there was a tornado came through there, and there's a great animal safari up in that area where wild animal safari you drive through for a few miles, and they also have a zoo. They literally had like 2 tigers escape. I mean, the tornadoes flattened the zoo. Mississippi's getting a lot of press on the tornadoes, but Alabama or Georgia got whacked pretty well also.
And look at that. Look at that. 10 pallets of water to tornado victims. How awesome is that? And how awesome does that say that? I mean, just how awesome does that say he is? You know, it just is.
Yeah. Yep.
I have a feeling though, knowing Todd like I do, I think that Todd probably would have done that even if he hadn't had his best March, knowing Todd.
Yeah.
That's a good.
That's what good people do.
Yep. Todd is the man. I love that.
Well, you want to get into the, let's see.
Yeah, we'll get into the checklist. I do want to mention, like what Ray just said, though, is huge, right? We're always improving. And if you're not asking your customers, like when you walk away from a sale or even a job, how can I do better the next time, right?
Absolutely.
Like we're always asking that is like, did I serve the client at a high level? And then doing little surveys and stuff. How can I have done better? Like, you know, and those kinds of things, because you're always improving your system. All my stuff came from past employees and past customers, because if those customers want it, guess what? Customers forward are going to want it as well.
Exactly.
Hey guys, I'm gonna step back. I'm still here. I'm just gonna remove myself. I don't want to be a distraction while y'all are going over there, and I know I cannot keep my big mouth shut. So I'm gonna let y'all talk about this one second.
Or vice versa. I could duck out for a little while. He's always the one that gets to duck out. See how he is?
Man, me and Ray go back and forth. So, but that's fine.
Yeah. All right. So anyhow, go ahead, man. Get us started on your. So this one here has what, 18 steps to it?
Yeah. So this one's got 18 steps, and this is kind of like, you know, what we started off with was like, how can I get everything out of my head and train somebody else to do it, right? And this is just something that we have in our training process. We also have it in their clipboard so they know the steps to the sale. And these steps, you know, work for us. They may not work for you, but guess what? You can come up with your own. And I remember when I was first getting into sales and like, you know, selling exterior cleaning, I was 20 years old. I was young. I had to get glasses. I had to try to grow a beard, right? So people would trust me. But with this, it was like simple, right? I wanted to keep it simple, but steps that were effective for the team to know what was going on. And it was really good because I started finding out why we were winning and why we weren't winning, because people who didn't follow the system, I couldn't track why they were winning. And so I wanted people to make a better close ratio. I wanted them to have a higher average ticket. But I was like, well, how can I really do that if I don't know exactly what they're doing on site? I can't improve them, right? As a trainer myself. And so
it's actually really important too. I mean, I don't think a lot of people realize if you're flying by the seat of your pants, that's great. But if you create your own checklist like this, and I'm sure if you email Pat, he'll send this to you. But if you have your own process, right? And as you're going through that process, you learn something. You can learn and take away and grow as you go with it. But you'd be surprised at how you can fine tune your sales process, if you would. And then that way you can get to a certain point, you know, very quickly whether or not you're even going to be able to close that deal by their actions and reactions. Sometimes it's quite telling once you put something like this in place.
Yes. So real easy, step number one is park the wrap car in front of a home in line with the front door. So they see the wrap vehicle, they see your logo shirt. It's all part of the process, right? And I always tell people, like, you got to trust the process. They're like, why do I got to park in front of the door? You know what I mean? Now, every home's a little different, but you want to be right around that front door area. Fill out customer info on the ticket from the SAP calendar, right? So whatever you're doing there, if it's Service Monster, you're writing that information on the ticket right then and there for it.
So is it hard to see for you? So what does the SAP calendar mean to you?
So mine is just
it's the SAP brand.
Yeah, well, it's actually the CRM. It's just the CRM. Right. So from this calendar, if you're doing like Flock, whatever you're doing, maybe it's Google Calendar, you're just taking that down there and you're putting it in. Ours is off of Service Monster.
I just wanted to clarify that because I know that question is going to come up.
Yes, yeah. So it's whatever you just put in that line right there, CRM. You know what I mean? So SAP is just what we call it, but it's from Service Monster. And then knock on the door and greet the customer. Hi, Pat with Precision Pro Wash. Walk around the home asking questions while taking measurements. Now, this is in some of our Excel training too, because you don't want to say, hey, can I quote that? Because then they're going to be like, no, I don't want that. And you just shot yourself in the foot. Customers don't know what they need. You're the expert. You have to set it up. And so that's what we do there. And let me see. Okay, good. Yeah. No, that's good. So this one's hand the customer a company portfolio. So picture binder. Basically, it goes over, roof cleaning, exterior cleaning, whatever it is for you. You're going to put in your company portfolio. This is like something that helps you get to the kitchen table. There's a lot in there that you can put as far as pictures, testimonials, all kinds of stuff. And so we have ours in there. We'll hand that to the customer. Let me see where I'm at right here. And the iPad, if you guys are digital too, that's another thing. You can do an iPad. I recommend an iPad. Don't do it on your phone, but before and after pictures on the iPad are really good.
Yeah, anything on your phone is it's going to be too small for a lot of customers. Plus, one of the things I've noticed with salespeople, especially if they're using their phone, right? They're holding it. They're supposed to be showing it to you, but they're trying to look at it at the same time, and you're not really looking at what they're, and it becomes pointless.
Exactly. Yes. The only thing you need to have on your phones is what I call a Relfie, and it's a reference selfie. So what I do on here, and I got to get obviously past the last event, but in here I have pictures of all the past customers that I just sold jobs to. So you're basically on your phone you're going to have somebody that you just sold a job to, and you're going to have a picture and say, hey, these are the jobs from last week of people that, bought our product. Yeah, those are really good reference selfies. So that's the only time you'd have on your phone is like, look at that. You know what I mean? And so that's what we do there. So number 5 is use your clipboard with your pre-inspection sheet on top. So everybody should have a pre-inspection sheet because the neighbors watch, the homeowner watches, and you're doing your value stacking as you're going through this process, right? You walked around with the homeowner, you got your pre-inspection sheet, you're showing them, hey, even maybe some of the drains to the gutters might be disconnected. Go ahead and put those back up, right? We're a service company, and I always say we're a customer service company that just happens to do exterior cleaning, right? So we're serving that customer at a high level.
One other thing I'll add in there is that another thing that you've done is you've eliminated the objection that you ran into in the very beginning where they said, I don't need this other service, right? If you're asking them, well, do you want us to quote the roof? No, I don't want the roof quoted. I'm good with that. We're good. You kind of eliminate that by having a checklist because you can even show me, I got to go through the checklist. It's the company thing that we do here. People say, but I own the company. Well, yeah, but I have people that I have to train. And if I don't follow the system, they're not going to follow the system. And we need to do a great job for you because this is about our service for you. We just happen to wash.
Yep. Oh, you gonna get a roof quote. They may not know it. And I told y'all I was listening, but I just had to, you made the comment, customers don't know what they need.
Exactly.
And Doug, we just talked about this. They also might not know what you do. Is another thing. And so by, Doug, you mentioned the other day, people would call Seminole Cajun soft wash, and they would call somebody else for pressure washing. Oh, we didn't realize you did pressure washing, Well,
yeah, that was a huge learning thing for me in the sales process too, because when my customer is sitting there saying, hey, I can't wait till you're done with the roof because I got the pressure wash guys coming right behind you, I completely failed. I failed myself. I failed my company. I failed my employees. I failed the customer. I failed everybody by not letting them know what it is that I do.
I just pulled this up. It's still available, but you can see on here, this was what I would give customers on my iPad. And it was literally just, it was a keynote or a, self-playing, keynote on there. And the customers would just absolutely love that they could sit there and touch. And it did things like,
It's
patios and roofs and slippery steps and, things like that. And they were just like, oh, wow, look, it just, They were taken away with it. And I'm not going to run through the whole presentation, but you'd literally put it in their hand and not lead them through it. And then half the time they're sitting there looking at it and going, they're more engrossed with it than they are with you, but they're seeing proof positive of what you're doing.
The only thing I would add, Pat, just as a thought, is that, if at some point, because like in the end here, where you go back and you upload your pictures and all that, I mean, there are times when it can be a good thing, like for you to be filling out paperwork, but give them the iPad to sit there and let them scroll through while you're, taking measurements or doing notes. So for me, especially if it's an elderly couple, let's say, and they don't want to go for a walk around the house and they say, please go out and do it yourself. Yep. Or because of COVID, they just, we'd rather you go ahead and do your walk around and, maybe hand them the iPad and let them thumb through it as you're going through doing your thing. Because again, you're then knocking out some of those, I don't need the roof done. Well, they don't know that they need the roof done and they're flipping through and they see that you do that. So that could be a good thing.
Well, and think about every professional service that you've ever had done at your house. Somebody that's a franchise or just really good at their game. What you have pest control come to the house. The salesman will tell you, well, hey, I want to walk the outside of your house. You have a carpet guy come. Hey, I need to walk around and look at things on there. A painter. And they all want to do the pre-site inspections. Now, their pre-site inspections might be just them walking around and looking, but it's giving you, the homeowner, at least the feeling that they're doing something. I mean, I don't know what the hell their inspection is, but they are taking a little bit of time to familiarize themselves with this property.
Yeah. No, that's key. And that's why I like the inspections, because you're adding value now, right? It's just walking around the property. Hey, this is what I noticed. I just want to let you know, and some of the things we don't even do, obviously. It's just letting them know what's going on. Fixing those things. So that's where we do an iPad or a company portfolio. Our company portfolio, something similar to something like this, it's got the little spiral bound thing on there. And then it goes over, all those things that you touched on, those before and after pictures. And so there's 5 senses of sale, right? It's like smell, touch, and the smell and the touch, I like them to touch the book, see the stuff, right? So, and I like how you did, though, Ray, is like you get them involved. They're excited, like it, and it does different things. They're like, this is cool, So,
and the smell, do you spray them with bleach?
No, not bleach.
Just comes in smelling like bleach.
That's exactly right. Now
that's in the early days. In the early days, you smell like bleach.
Now we spray it with apples.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, make it smell like apple wash. But no, you can, because that's the way their house would smell. Almost do like a scratch and sniff stuff.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
Yeah.
All right. So then you go on and you take your pictures. Number 6.
Yep. Yeah. So number 6, we take our pictures of each side of the house. So we require basically 8 pictures for them. They got to get the dead bush in the corner, right? They got to get the damage. They got to do those things or cover our butt stuff, as well as looking at the house because, when you get salespeople out there, you're not seeing that house. So if they forget to put, oh, by the way, you need the 40-foot ladder to get this roof, right? You can then approve the ticket. I think this is really big that people get territory managers and they're just like, yes, he's out selling, he's closing jobs, it's going right to dispatch. And then all of a sudden you have a big headache that the guy's underpricing. He, doesn't even know how to price a job, right? And so it's all in the training. So the pictures are key because right at the stage that you as the owner approve the ticket before it goes to dispatch. And so pictures are key. And if you're using company cam or your CRM, however you want to do that, totally up to you. And then, we're doing decks, etc., light fixtures, even like how far away the deck is, we measure that. Like if you have a dock at the end, take a picture of that, those sorts of things. And then number 7 is measure while taking pictures and complete your pre-inspection sheet. So again, this is designed for a territory manager. And then they will get faster because you're like stuff in your hand, right? You got the measuring wheel, you got this, you got the iPad. It's like you're juggling a little bit and you will get faster. So in the very beginning, you're like, why the heck do I do all that? People are just like, pop. And then they're like $450 today, right?
Yep.
But you got to follow the systems.
But tell me something. Are you not adding value to those customers by you coming out there and just your basic walk around that you're doing right here? You've added so much more value to the customer versus just scribbling something down on a piece of paper that says, I will wash for $250 or $500 on here. I mean, think about what Pat's saying. This is you're establishing yourself as a consummate professional right here, just at the initial estimate type thing. And gosh, anybody that follows you who doesn't break out the measuring wheel, who doesn't break out the camera, who doesn't do a home inspection and engage the consumer.
Yeah. For me, it always goes back to what I used to say, and that is, I feel sorry for you if you went on an estimate before me, and I pity you if you go on an estimate after me. Because if you didn't educate the homeowner and you didn't do these certain things, you look, everybody buys on price, right, Pat? Everybody. Nobody considers anything but price, right? Yeah, no. You can totally, I'm going to tell you what, you go out and you impress somebody and you can be twice as much, 3 times as much as they are, 4 times as much as they are, and still win the job. And if you don't, but you're closing it twice, you're twice the price, but you're doing half the work, you're still making as much or more money than they are doing half the amount of work, half the amount of liability.
Yeah. Yep. Increasing your capacity. We have people that come into quotes, like you're saying, and they will go in and say, I will do it for half of precision, right? Half our price, same scope of work, half of our price. And they will not go with that person. You know what I mean? Because we set the stage. It starts from when they call in, right, to whatever you guys are doing. Like we send out a buyer's guide. We send out the seal. We send out other things before our TSMs even show up to the job. Like if sales is hard, your branding's off and your approach is off, right? You're lining it up just like you guys are saying, as we know. And we've done it because we've seen it, right? And we learn, and then we just put it in place.
It's there. Everything has its place in there, and you're going to get the guys that are going to say, well, I'll do it for half the price of precision. And they don't even remotely get even what they're saying about it, right? They don't get that they're the ones that are missing the whole picture. And then when the people still hire you, so matter of fact, I would even go so far as to say you just gave them a reason to hire Precision when you said that, right? Because you're saying, hey, I'll do it for half the price of Precision because I know that Precision is doing good quality work at that point when they say that, right? Why else would Precision be there? And I've got to be way down here.
Yeah. Yep. And those customers too, and we've all seen it. Like the customers that pay more, they will stay with you longer, and they will buy more things because that is your customer avatar.
Absolutely.
You know,
They're your customer to lose.
Exactly. Yes. And we've seen it over and over again. I did a live video with a customer we did 2 years ago, and then they went with a $4,500 job, right? Mm-hmm. And she's gotten other bids before for, I can tell you, way cheaper, right? But they know the quality and they will keep coming back. Mm-hmm. So it is key. All right. So right here, right? Check your home for oxidation, fading siding, shutters, etc. And check the water pressure and ask if they are on a well. So we have little water pressure test things. We're trying to just streamline the process because, again, you know what I mean? Like professionals focus on the back end, amateurs focus on the front end. And so we're looking at, I want the job to go smooth for the homeowner. If we get there and there's bad water pressure, I want to know that before we show up. What are things that you guys have done on job sites that you're like, oh, shoot, we could have had that, in the beginning?
Not only that, but if it's also on a well, what's the GPM? How much water do you have? Because we use a lot of water, and the last thing you want to do is run them out of water where they're out of water for a day or two if they have a really bad well.
Yeah, that's right. Because that sets the precedence for you now. You're like, oh, I didn't realize that would happen. Well, how many houses have you done with wells? Well, not so much. It shows. You know what I mean? So you set yourself up as the expert of the systems and the procedures. And they're like, why are you checking my water? Well, this is why we do it. And they're like, that makes sense, right? They don't.
And then they appreciate you.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, ooh, this guy knows what he's doing. He's done plenty of houses just like mine with a well because we don't want to burn it up and we don't want to leave you without water, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the next guy comes along and either doesn't come out to the job site or doesn't measure the water. Whether they say something or not, they know it.
Yeah.
Well, I can give you a price. Let me see if I can pull this thing up on Google, and I'll give you a price on Google. Tell me what's working out better for you guys.
Yep, that's right. And it is. I love going on site, and we'll talk about it in a little bit, but there's another reason you want to go on site, and we'll bring that up here in a minute. All right, so number 10, right? Check if the gutters have covers. Ask if you can see them. If you got one of those little, poles that do the little camera, that's good too. That's another inspection, right? You can kind of run down the gutter, see what's in it, so you don't have to ladder up to it. There's a lot of things you can do there if you're doing like selling gutter guards, those kinds of things, setting yourself up. But those are great opportunities to upsell or cross-sell depending on, what you want to do there. But you want to ask yourself, how would you clean this, and do you need a ladder? 30, 40, right? Mark on the ticket. So this is key. Like as a territory manager, when we train them, they go through a 3-week training process with videos and on site. We always do videos in the morning, and then they're always in their territory in the afternoon, flyering, working it, talking, and looking at the homes in their territory. And so what you want to do here is let them know, what it is that they need to know on the job sites, because they're basically writing the work order. They're there. What kind of ladder do they need? And it doesn't have to be too complicated because, they don't necessarily have to be a technician, but in that 3-week training process, they do go out on a truck for 2 to 3 days so they can believe in what we're selling, believe in what we're doing, in that culture as well. And then step number 12 is make sure you check where the downspouts come out and mark them in the special instructions box at the lower right corner. Why do you guys think we do that?
Gee, why do we don't want to know where the downspouts come out at? Because if they're at that nice little prime rose bushes and all that kind of fun stuff, don't need to know that.
I'll tell you a story. We were cleaning Michael Jordan's mom's house in Lake Norman in Charlotte. And I usually don't tell this, but I'm going to tell it. And so I come and I show up at the job site and I'm like, this is amazing, right? And I'm like, I go out and it's right on the peninsula and I'm like walking out to the edge, a nice fence and everything. And the lake is beautiful. And I just happen to like prop myself up. I'm like, dude, this is amazing. We're doing good. Like we got Michael Jordan's mom's house. And I look down and dude, there's bubbles coming up. All the gutters drain to the freaking lake. And I'm like, oh crap. I like turn around like, stop, what are you doing? And so we ended up having to like put tennis balls in, redirect it and not go into the main gutter system. So yes, they need to know where the gutters go.
Not only that, but you also, I mean, if you're doing the job right, you look at the gutters to see there are telltale signs as to whether or not they leak. Because here's the thing: you go and you start spraying, all of the solution goes to the corner of a the corner in the gutters, but they leak, and all those plants and everything right below it are now going to be dying. That's a really bad thing, and you should know that ahead of time. That's a good question to ask, but it's also one of them things that over time, you should just be able to look at it and say that thing leaks. You can look at the ground, see where it's been puddling. You can look at the bush and see how it's got some damage right there. All those different things that tell you, hey, there's an issue here.
That's right. And it's good to know beforehand. That way you're not having to address it later on when it's after the fact. Yeah. All right. Awesome. All right. So where are we at? 12?
Yeah, number 12.
Yep. So make sure that you
what you just did. So go on to 13.
Oh, sorry. So go back to the sales car and crunch numbers. So this is key. Don't ever go inside the house. Like if the homeowner's there, don't go inside the house and crunch the numbers because they're going to ask you where you're coming up with your figures and all that stuff. And it's a lot of pressure, right? Especially for a new rep. When they're watching over their shoulders and they mess up or they calculated it wrong, a lot of errors happen there. So you want to make sure you go back to the vehicle, turn it on, air conditioning, whatever. But there's a reason we do this. Is the neighbors usually come up to you while you're in the quoting process and ask for a bid. You're out there already, right? And then the homeowner is like, you want them to sweat it out a little bit. I've kind of find that to be true is like, you want them to be like, what are they doing out there? He's been out there for a minute, right? Now, not too long, you know what I mean? But they're obviously writing it up. They're doing the proposal. They want to make sure the numbers are correct. And you're basically dotting your I's, cross your T's for the homeowner because you want to build those packages. You want to build in the value and you want them to ultimately win. And I tell everybody that I'm like, I want to pass the savings on to you. So, I had to work up some packages here. You got a beautiful home. It's very big. You got a lot of gutter. And so those measurements came in and they're like, yeah, no, I definitely get it. They understand. And so that's what we do there. I do put in here too, start with a clean it all special. And I think this is key too, is like a lot of people, we kind of know how to package, right? A, B, and C, and we read from left to right. We always go from A, B, and C. And I taught this at the Huge last year, and I thought it was really cool because people were like, I never thought of it like that. You want to kind of break their brain a little bit. At Sales Boost, we talk about the bilimbic sales process, like you're using your the back of your brain, not the calculated part, the emotional part, right? So in here, you want to break their brain a little bit. So we do A, B, and C packages, but I cover A and B up and I start with C and I make them work backwards. And so we've all heard good, better, best before. So they kind of know what's coming. So what I do is I go from C and I say, hey, Mrs. Smith, we got everything, written up for you. By the way, this is from the roof to the ground, your driveway, everything's going to get treated. And for just, $8,900, we're going to get everything taken care of. And then she's like, whoa, that's way too much. You have B and C or B and A to roll back to, and they will give you their budget number sometimes. We always say buyers are liars, right? But they will give you buying signs throughout the process if you're asking the right questions, right? This is just a checklist. There's like a lot more that goes into it as far as like pre-framing and stuff. And I'm not a pushy salesperson company. Like that's not what we do. We don't do these closing techniques, these hard closing techniques. You're building value throughout the thing. You're stacking the value. And if you follow these steps, it actually falls in place without having to do literally like hard sales. Yeah, I don't like hardcore sales. I never wanted to be sold because then you feel icky. You know what I mean? You're like, what the heck just happened? No, you made a logical choice because we are the best in the business. And so when you do it like this, it actually pre-frames it for them that package C is the best. And they're not used to going that way.
So when you start off with package A as an example, and let's just make an argument that it's 250, 500, and 750, just for the discussion of it, right? You start off at 250. That's the number that they just locked into their brain. That's it. 250 is the number that they just locked in because that's the number you gave them. If you start off at 750 and they get that shock, right? And you will sometimes get people say, "Oh, wow, that's too much. I thought it was going to be around $350." Okay, what did you just do? You just learned that, okay, I got them on they'll do package A because their 350 package A is 250. Okay. Yep. And now it's your job to help them see the value of going to package B. So you're starting off package C, the high one, the shock and awe. And you'd be surprised at how many times, I know I was surprised at how many times, package A will be 250, package B will be 750, and package C will be $3,762,000. And I'll give them that number, and they'll be like, "Okay,
yeah, let's do it. Where do we sign?"
Yeah. Then I become like, well, I don't know what to do.
Yeah. Because we're not our customers sometimes too. I remember, I was training a territory manager. We went up to the Cliffs community in large houses, right? Large houses. And he was like, "Dude, this is $5,800. I'm like, "Dude, you got this. You can, you got it." He's like, and he's scared, right? Because he's like 5,000, you know what I mean? And we're afraid to ask those, but it's an investment to that homeowner, right? Like that's nothing compared to, whatever else they got going on.
And it's $1 million, $2 million house also. Yeah. I mean, you can't let the homeowner, don't try to get in the homeowner's head on that, because you don't understand necessarily what's important to them or what the value is to someone, I mean, it's Brooke bought a car this weekend. Okay. And I'm looking up we went to Jacksonville, and she had the exact car that she wanted picked out. And so I'm sitting there looking at it, and I remember seeing, so I looked at, and I wanted her by Tallahassee. I mean, it's 3 hours closer. I'd love for her to have like the local dealer, experience and there. Well, there was what I would call is the old dealer prep fee. And it was $5,000 at this point. It used to be clear coating, and that was the dealer prep fee, right? Well, this was a list of 20 items, and most of them were throwaways. Clear coating was on there. It was $5,000. Well, I went and took a picture of the item code of the car, took a picture of the VIN number, called my local dealer, and I said, "Hey, listen, I've got a code on the car and blah, blah, blah. Can you order me one of these? My daughter's over here in Jacksonville. I'd really like her to buy in Tallahassee." Well, no. And so he's not actually listening to me. He's trying to sell me something. Well, dude, hey, I got one. I got one that's just like that I can really make you a deal on if she's a little more flexible. Now, she wanted one that was wolf gray exterior and Arctic white interior. I was like, "What you got?" I've got, it's a red exterior and black interior. I'm like, that's nothing like what I just described whatsoever. I mean, in fact, it's almost a polar opposite of it. But I'm like, okay, here's the code. We're willing to wait a couple of months if you can order this vehicle code with this. Now, and he just kept on trying to sell me stuff on the lot they had here in Tallahassee and not listening to what I was saying, that we're willing to wait and do business with you.
He wants his money today.
Right. If you'll order this code for, like you don't even have to look up the code. I've got the car code that specifies Arctic white and wolf gray and the EV package on it,
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's a prime example of a inexperienced, right, salesperson.
No, that was a sales manager, believe it or not. So, I mean, a horrible one. He needs to come.
That's bad. That's bad. When you're sales manager, you don't know how to do it. Yeah.
And the irony is, my daughter arranged her own I mean, I think that may have actually been part of the problem. She arranged her own financing. She came in there with, $15,000 equity in her car, and she it's like, well, we're not getting a kick from the bank. We're not going to get to run her on the this and the that. She's the perfect buyer if there weren't all these dealer add-ons from for servicing, shipping her out to other places and getting, a quarter point back on the financing and stuff like that. Not that actually happens, but yeah, if people would just listen to that, would have had literally a customer. And Brooke's one of those girls that, like her last Toyota that she just traded in, every service, she's there. If a light comes on, she's there. She's one that goes and highlights the maintenance schedule in the book and says, okay, at 15,000 miles, I have to do this. At 20,000 miles, I have to do that. Anything they would have lost as far as bonuses in Tallahassee by not selling a car on the lot, they would have made back with their service department.
Yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next one is to, you got to basically, then you're going to go to the door and ask to go inside the kitchen table. And obviously with COVID and like all that stuff, that was a little different. I remember we had to set up chairs on the front lawn and like that was the kitchen table. We just replicated it. But you got to think outside the box. So I like to go inside. I was out in Connecticut. I guess it was the end of last year. And we were going door to door, right? And we had a quote. And so we went and I pre-framed it. I was like, hey, which door would you like us to come through? And they're like, oh, yeah, just right through the front door is fine. So I set that up before we even did the walk around. And then you ask, hey, is it all right if we come inside? Because a lot of the decisions happen inside at the kitchen table or wherever.
They're the most comfortable.
They're the most comfortable, yeah. And I want to kind of get to know them too. Like I want to be a part of the family, if you will, right? So when we get inside, they're usually like, yeah, come on in. You want some sweet tea? I'm like, heck yeah, because they already know my background, right? They got the background check. They know how many kids I have. They know what I like to do. They've already done the research a lot of times, unless they're just like, definitely just want the quote and in and out, right? You can kind of
tell
that, yeah, in the very beginning. And so you go inside, you sit down and you kind of talk to them a little bit. I usually don't even talk about the cleaning. I talk about the, rivalry team or whatever, the cars, what they like to do, those kind of things. I talk about that first. I'm going to talk about their house. And then we go over the company portfolio, maybe one more time if they have any questions on that. Another thing you guys can do is you can have we have BMW here, we have Michelin. And so we have our 101 reference list. And so we have sheets that have BMW homeowners, right? They work at BMW, but we've done jobs for them. So if they work at BMW, like, hey, you work at BMW? Like, yeah. I'm like, awesome. And I'm like, well, Will over at BMW, we did his house. And by the way, we did the big, circle on BMW. And they're like, oh, that was you? Yeah, that was us. And then now you already broke down barriers. They're like, oh, you
game over.
Will, they're like, Will's really picky. You hear that a lot.
If I can give one of the biggest clues that I can ever give whenever you're building that rapport is if you're getting somebody's email address,
mm-hmm.
Look at where the domain on that email address is.
Absolutely.
They give you, hey, it's, Pat.Clark at bmwsouthcarolina.com. Oh my gosh, I can't tell you how much business we used to get whenever we were getting estimate requests and somebody would leave their, it would be a hospital. And it didn't really matter which hospital because we cleaned both of them here in Tallahassee with regular maintenance contracts. Oh my goodness, we handle the weekly maintenance there, or the other one, we handle the quarterly maintenance of the ambulance bays and oh my gosh, I've seen your trucks before out there. Your guys are so nice, but it's a silent little giveaway that people will tell you if it's got a business name attached to that email.
Yeah, that's gold. That is gold right there. So yeah, then you can get those. All right, so we're at basically 15. So present your packages. I see a lot of people when they present the packages, they don't ask for the business. And they get into too, if you're doing quotes on site or you're, depending on where you are in the country, if you're doing 10 quotes in a day, and I've seen this as business owners, they're just the leads are coming in, they're doing 10 quotes, and the 10th quote, they're like, here's the quote, see you later, I got to go home for dinner, right? They're not asking for the business. So you want to make sure that you're systemizing it to 5 quotes or less, right? 4 to 5 quotes in a day is perfect. It gives you enough time to go door to door after the quote, replicate that effort where you can, knock on the door and say, hey, we just quoted Mrs. Smith. Would you like a quote? A lot of times they do. And there's a book, it's called Door to Door Millionaire. Highly recommend that book. It gives you the scripts to go door to door to replicate that one sale. So it, again, cuts down your marketing budget right there. And then you want to go back to the car and you want to crunch your numbers. This is key because as territory managers, you talk to the homeowner and you're trying to think of the next thing you want to say and you're not listening, right? So when you get back to the car after everything's done, say they go ahead and they close, but at the end you're walking out the door and she's like, oh, hey, what about the stairs? And you're like, oh yeah, we'll throw that in because you don't want to work up a new ticket, right? And then you're like, yeah, we'll throw this in or a small thing, whatever. Write it on the invoice. Go back to the car. Look at the house. Remember everything you just said to the homeowner. Remember to write down the dog's name. Remember that it was her birthday 2 months ago. Write that down. Put it into the CRM because then we can serve that client at even a higher level and send her a birthday card. Bring snacks with the technicians for the dog. Know the dog's name when they show up. They're like, whoa, how'd you know the name? Oh, well, it's in the notes. They're like, wow, that guy actually must have been listening to me.
Taking care of me.
Yes. And not only that, I'm going to give you guys a little nugget. You want to get 2 reviews for every quote and job you do. Get a review for the sales rep and get a review for the technicians, and you get 2 reviews for that one customer. And there's ways to do it. Sometimes you can if they have like 1 email address or something like that. I guess Google won't allow 1 email address to do two reviews, but there's a way you can do it. And it might be on different platforms too, but get 2 reviews for sure. All right, so moving right along because we're right up. Are we right up on an hour already?
Yeah,
We're
but
right up on an hour.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we'll keep going.
Take as much time as you need, Pat.
Nice. I appreciate that. So yeah, I guess we're at 17, right?
Yep.
So 17. So we're going to put out a yard sign. And this is cool because you can do yard signs that say coming soon. Those are really good in the front yard. And then put out a yard sign at the end of the subdivision. Because again, it might stay there for a week, but if you market better than anybody else in your area, you're going to get the business. We flyer on the way out, we flyer on the way in, and you can create a couple different flyers that say like, hey, your initial contact flyers, like, hey, we're here. This is what we do. And then the second one is, hey, we just quoted your neighbor, right? So you only do that at a few on the way in, the way out. And the cool thing is if you're doing door hangers or clip flyers, you can actually make a business card and change your promotional item on the business card and not the huge flyer. That way it saves you some money. You can do that as well. But get creative is all I can say in those neighborhoods. Flyers, we've actually cut down on clip flyers. Reason being is because we've been in business for 17 years now. And so our marketing budget slowly goes down because of our repeat business and our repeat customers. We're fostering that list. So hopefully one day it'll be at like 2 or 3% marketing budget, right? That's the ultimate goal. But with this kind of stuff, it helps. Replication, they have to see you now like 7 or 8 times before they even decide or think that they want to call you. And that keeps getting further and further because everybody's marketing to everybody. Everywhere you go, billboards, signs, digital billboards, internet, Facebook, you name it, they're getting hammered by ads all day long. So how can you make it a personable thing that you are the community expert, right? Yeah. And that's where the yard signs play, and that's where the flyers kind of come in.
If you think about that, Pat, you said something real key there. We're getting hammered by more ads now than we ever have in the history of time because of, this at this point, I mean, yeah. And not only do we see one ad as we're reading the news or going to our favorite website, we see multiple scrolling ads through there. Billboards in town that used to, say, hey, call Paul's Pest Control. And it would say that for 30 days until somebody else leased it. And now they're digital. We get ads rotating off every 15, 30 seconds on it and stuff. In fact, it's one of the aggravating things. I'm trying to read a billboard going, wait, come back. I got to sit here for another cycle I got to wait for this red light to change again because I got to wait for, no, I'm kidding. I mean, we're getting bombarded with ads and we're getting bombarded with ads for a lot shorter time than we used to get. It's actually, there's some studies out there that saying, part of our attention spans are really going down as people as well. Kind of like how young people can't read maps anymore or follow directions because we've trained our brains to where, they need to go something, go, boop, click on that. And it's going to take you to wherever you need to go versus actually following, or having to understand a direction out there. So, it's so important. The yard signs, and especially a yard sign in somebody's yard, is a direct endorsement from that person now.
That's right.
It's not
almost totally.
Yeah. And I think that goes for a lot of the social media too. Like you need, instead of you saying it, like somebody else has to say it for you, right? Because if you say it, it's bragging, but if somebody else says it for you, then that's credibility. And so like with social media, when you do those jobs, hey, do you have a neighborhood Facebook page? Do you have Nextdoor? If you don't mind, I use Company Cam. Can I just shoot you over a little album of pictures? You can choose whatever one you want. And do me a favor. Can you post it on your Facebook page for us? Right? Turn them into your sales team, if you will, right? We want to turn them into agents. We talk about that too, the agent program, right? You basically get business cards at that point. And if you get 10 people signed up this year, we'll clean your house for free. And so you want to foster your customer list. You want to foster those people that, know your true value, and those will go further too, because marketing is expensive, period.
It's
right?
very expensive.
Yeah.
You're also, if you haven't included into your process asking how they heard about you to begin with, you really should do that. I know we had a customer in particular that I didn't really realize until we implemented that how often she was recommending us. And we started doing things like sending them out to get massages or sending them candies, because I was doing trade work, if you would, for the massage people or for this person or for that person, right? And so then I could do that and I could send her. I sent that lady out for so many massages, it wasn't even funny. I sent her cookies and all kinds of stuff because she was continuously referring us before she even was getting these little extra perks and everything. So it can be a very important thing to do and a very powerful thing in building your company and that relationship that I had with her.
Yeah.
You said marketing is expensive. Yes, unless you do good marketing.
Yeah, it's all about the
It's really quite cost effective out there, if you think about it. But yeah, bad marketing and ineffective marketing is quite expensive. And so many of us just do the same marketing that everybody else does out there, and the old saying of what's the definition of insanity? It's
doing it over and over again.
Same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And a young man that I took under my tutelage, in Tallahassee, I'll never forget him going, I've been running Facebook ads. And I said, $25 off to new customers. He's like, oh, you've seen them? I was like, no. Every pressure washer I've ever met that advertises on Facebook is doing $25 off for new customers,
Yeah.
Do something original. Do something. Hey, I want to hit a couple of questions.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. There's several questions in there I'd like to hit.
Yep. Pat, Todd is saying, looking forward to having you on site at his place. So hopefully you're going up there. Looks like somebody's pimping for Brian with Rolling Suds up there.
Nice.
Yep. I'll tell you what, he's got a heck of an operation up there. I had the pleasure of having dinner with him one night, and he's man.
That's awesome.
Craziest guy. I sat there, and this guy does millions a year, and I told him how he was doing everything wrong because he upstreams, through cat pumps. He literally sprays it out. And here's the best part. I was sarcasm that he's doing something wrong because he's doing it the way that I've used him as a study for many times, explaining to people. It's what works for you.
That's right.
He knows that spraying a house wash mix is going to destroy a cat pump, but he gets an X amount of life on it. Then he goes and rebuilds it, and it's factored into his cost. You know what? And awesome. Dust to glory. That's where I'm at. Answering the phones, doing quotes is taking so much of my energy. It's hard to get the work done. Hey, Sean, hope you're doing well. Let's see. Brenda asked, best place to get new hires. I'm not having great success with Indeed or a hiring agency. I've been running out of fast food joints because I try to take their employees.
You got to be
joking.
Yeah,
I
you got
would.
a professional headhunter. Like they're out there. I was literally doing a sales boost on site in Philly, and same exact thing. Can't find anybody. Staples, hired the guy from Staples. Literally went into Staples. I was like talking with the guy. He's like, "Ooh, what? They're making $25 an hour?" Yeah, right. Set up the interview. It took a little bit, but we set up the interview. I think it took 2 weeks, and then now he's hired him, right? And then there's other things like Blue Skies Recruiting. There's things out there as far as like Indeed. If you go straight to Indeed, not going to work, right? But you can go on Indeed for free and look for people that are also looking for jobs too.
Looking for jobs.
I think it's changing a little bit because when we were in Philly, one guy showed up and he was like, "Man, I can't get on whatever it is, food stamps or welfare, the thing." He's like, "I can't do it. It's really hard," and they shut down the system. So you're not your candidate, but that's good news because they can't sit on the couch and get money anymore. So
Right. And and I want to, Brenda, I want you to talk about this about poaching an employee and think about this hardcore. And it ties into what Pat was just saying there. But
you cannot steal an employee, by the way. You can't. You cannot steal an employee.
No, you can't.
Anyhow, keep going. I didn't mean to.
Well, I mean, you can kidnap them, but I guess that's technically kid stealing. No, because I mean, you can't make somebody come to work for you. They're going to come on their own volition, so you're not really stealing them. You can just tell them about an opportunity. But we've given away so much money during COVID. We have just let people sit on their butts and make money in this country, and people are starting to re-enter the workforce. And I got to be honest, is that the person that you want as an employee? Is the person that comes to you and says, "Well, I can't get the food stamps. I can't get the welfare anymore. I've been doing that for 3 years now because, hey, it's good, and I have got some mad GTA skills on the Nintendo." Is that your guy? Because seriously, when the next pandemic, when the next crisis happens, with the next federal bailout, and you can bet there will be
at some point,
because we've already set that stage. Sorry, I need to put my tinfoil hat back on. Or do you want the guy that's working now, the guy that's got a great personality, the guy that's refused to actually sit there and say, "Well, I'm just going to take government money out there"? Do you want that person, or do you want the person who's the only reason they're picking up the phone is because their benefits are running out?
Mm-hmm.
No, you're definitely on it, but you got to think too, though, that person that is working. It used to be where we were like, how do you put it? We could hire anybody, right? Back in the day, we had people lining up. I remember going to Starbucks. It was me and my buddy, and he had a lawn care company, and we would have 30 people lined up, and he would interview them. I would interview them. He would hire people. I would hire people. Now it's way different. You as a company now have to look on the inside. And you have to say, why would I work for me? Do I have workers' comp? Do I have benefits, insurance, dental, vision, health, right? And it's hard because sometimes we don't have those, especially if we have 1 or 2 employees, right? So what else can you do? Why would they come work for you? You have to cast the vision. That was a big thing for me, was when I was hiring territory managers. I'm like, it was me selling, and they're like, "Okay, great. What's your average ticket?" I was like, "Ooh, I don't know." You know what I mean? They were asking qualified.
They're like, "How do you not know?"
Yeah.
And whenever you're hiring a salesperson, you better know what it is they're selling out there. I mean, that's kind of important,
Yeah.
And I'm also, just to throw it out there, I mean, one of the things I had a lot of luck with, and I think you'd still have that luck today, we made up a flyer, if you would, right? And that was distributed to a lot of the different churches in the area, because they have people that they know that are, maybe they just lost their job and they've come to the church for assistance or help or prayers or whatever the case may be, but they're really good people. And they are, or they've, semi-retired or retired, and they're looking for, something to do, those kinds of things. So I still maintain that the church is a really good place to find really good employees.
And Brenda, I would also go back and watch our video we did with Jody Pastori a couple months ago. You know, he has an amazing system for hiring people. It's a little unconventional for some people, but it really works for him. You can find it on this channel for anybody. But Jody Pastori was our interviewer there. Jim, we had a roof wash was included with a gutter cleaning yesterday. Michael, he had this a while back. So Joe brings up an interesting one. What about the approach by only specializing in one service, paver sealing, screening, closures, driveways, or that? Is residential success diversified only? I don't think so. I mean, I know a guy in Tallahassee whose name is Mr. Mailbox, and literally all he does is repair mailboxes.
Mm-hmm.
You can certainly specialize in it, and you know you're going to need more customers than if you were doing whole things. But it's a nice segment of the population, and if you can find out your niche marketing for that, it would be, I mean, pool cages would be great. Where would you advertise that service at? Man, I'd try to put up a flyer or get into contact with Leslie's or Pinch a Penny or someplace like that. If I specialized really in mainly paver sealing, that's what I wanted to do. I knew it cleaned, sanded, sealed pavers. I know
there are lots of guys that's all they do.
I know
they do very well.
More pavers than anybody else, and I'm going to be on Nextdoor, and I'm going to be marketing to those neighborhoods, with some awesome before and afters.
Especially now with the algorithms that they have between Google and Facebook and all that, they can really target to your audience nowadays. For anybody searching for that type of service, you can really drill down and. Yeah, so I think if you're doing a niche market, you absolutely can do a killing on, just servicing one thing. Like Ray said, you have to get more customers, but at the same time, there's also a lot less headaches and hassles and things that. So there's a give and take, and there's some checks and balances in there. I think sometimes having a singular company can be better than having a multi-company, and then vice versa.
Yep. Rusty is playing golf in Vegas. Hey, Rusty.
Nice.
QR codes. Pat, have you done anything with QR codes at all?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, QR codes are great, especially putting them on the back stall of a bathroom.
Interesting.
People love to read while they're in the office.
Yeah, that's a good point.
People are putting QR codes now on their vehicles while they put, they just pop up on their backs of their trucks and stuff like that. QR codes are great. Put them on yard signs.
That's a great idea too. High school shop teacher usually now. That's a great spot for finding people. And Brenda, also, do they have any vocational schools where you are? Like, we've got Lively Technical College here that has a technical program for welding, for several different hands-on type things. That'd be a great spot to go to.
I just wrote down the other day too, if you go through the SBA, so the Small Business Administration, your local one, they have government assistant programs too, where you can actually hire people and they'll pay you back 50% of their stuff, and they want to line it up too. They have people and then job fairs, they're becoming more popular. I know a lot of people are doing job fairs now too, as well.
Same thing with veterans organizations.
Yeah, there's some veterans organizations where you get what's the word I'm looking for? Not subordinated.
Yeah, they give you money.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You get part of their salary paid back to you temporarily while they're transitioning in, for hiring a veteran. Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So Pat, tell us again, when is Sales Boost, and do we have seats available?
Yeah. So it is Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So it's literally like 2 days away. I don't think there's any seats left. I'm pretty sure we sold out today. I know the hotel is booked, like totally slammed on Friday, so there's no rooms left in the hotel. But if you're really serious and you want to go, message me. I know we had a lot of people last year. We had 74 was the max at our shop. We had 74 people, and I had to turn down a lot of people because we just didn't have the room to fit them in there. So we did it at the Marriott this year. So we had a lot of capacity. I think we're going to be at 100 people this year. at Sales Boost Live.
Wow.
So,
Now, I
You
saw
know what?
something about Sales Boost Live. I mean, like, is that what that is, or is that something different?
say that one more time.
So I thought I saw something about you were going to do something live, like on Facebook or whatever. Is that not is that not something different, or is that just Salesbook Live is what it's called?
No, so we have three different things, right? We have we're going to be rolling out Sales Boost Nitro, which is going to be the online course that'll be coming out after Sales Boost Live. But Sales Boost Live is the live event once a year that we do that everybody kind of comes to, and then I have Sales Boost On-Site, which is a lot more money. It's $7,500 for 2 days, but it's done for you. I come out on site. Day one, we kind of set up. We do administration stuff, make sure you're answering the phone. We do a discovery to find out what you are lacking, where I can really help you in those 2 days. And that I do. So those are the three things that we do.
Gotcha.
Pat, how many offices you have in the Precision Network now?
Yes, sir. So we have 9 locations in 8 different states, and we're going to add 5 more this year.
What does this guy know about anything, Doug? I thought you had gonna actually get us like a decent guest on here. You know?
Yeah.
Jeez.
So does that mean we get a discount? You send somebody out to wash my driveway?
No, but you can get package B. Doug, you can get package
I was
B.
just about to say, so, with what we talked about and the value that we're going to provide with you, for that money, how much do you think it'll take you to come up with the rest?
Honey.
Hey, and I want to point out, y'all might notice a different ticker scrolling along the bottom there. So we actually have something coming up as well. Love to see y'all there. But Homeowner Association training at the huge convention this year, we have a Spray Wash Academy course that's written by yours truly, Doug, and also Bo Giusetti, who, as y'all know, Bo is a massive HOA guy out there. And we were counting, and we've literally done, between the three of us, we've done tens of thousands of HOA doors. We look forward to passing on this knowledge. It's going to be a 3 to 4 hour class at the huge convention. Love to see you there. Get on here for early registration, and we're going to get into how do you get an HOA to start with? How do you price an HOA, and then how do you do an HOA? I mean, there's a reason that certain companies tend to get all the HOA work. That's not happenstance that it goes that way. They know who to market themselves to. Typically speaking, taking donuts to an HOA meeting isn't necessarily going to get you into who you need to talk to.
And I think the way we're going to structure that somewhat is you'll have 3 hours of actual training, and then you'll have the final hour that's more going to be a question and answer phase to make sure that you are comfortable in everything that we've gone over, and the questions that you may have that maybe we didn't cover, or those sorts of things, to make sure that you can leave there, and just like we were talking about earlier, you can actually put things into action and do something, be able to go out and make a success of it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. We look forward to it.
Too, big money. So like I always tell people, look at the ROI, right? So look at the class, and then what is the ROI on a homeowners association? Land 2 of those puppies or more. I mean, guaranteed pretty much from going to a class that you guys are going to be putting on. So love that.
Yeah, it's going to be an awesome class.
Yep.
Good deal.
Well, Pat, man, it's been great having you on here. We really, really appreciate it. And you got anything else you want to add in there? I'm
just going to say you got to Goya. Get off your ass and make it happen, right?
That's it.
Hold on. Any recommendation on places to check out prior to the event?
Places to check out?
He's headed
down in Greenville.
Oh yeah. So definitely go downtown Greenville. Wow, it's the park down there. I can't think of it. Reedy River. Go to the Reedy River. Check it out. It's really like up and coming. They just did the downtown area really good. They have the suspended bridge. It's like a glass suspended bridge. That's really cool. And then downtown Spartanburg too is up and coming as well.
Cool.
We,
So, and Jim, Jim mentions that live in HOA, every homeowner is responsible for taking care of their home, not the HOA. It's more like the ticket writer, the neighborhood. 100%, and some HOAs are like that. Some HOAs that we do are flat work and curbs only.
Yep.
But every time we walk in there, we wind up washing 50% of the homes because
we're going to cover all of that
properly, going, hey, by the way, we're going to be doing your driveway on March 17th to the 21st. Might as well do this. Here's our package pricing to include this, your house. Conversely on that, we've got HOAs that do only the houses and not the flat work.
And sometimes they'll have their HOA meetings and they will invite you to be able to speak, especially if they've hired your company to do the work. You can approach them to be part of that meeting to discuss how it is you're going to do, what it is you're going to do, why it is you're going to do. It's not just about getting that information out there. It's about getting more work and how they can contact you to get their house washed and do the things that the homeowners association that they're not paying for. Mm-hmm. There's so much to it.
That's good.
Absolutely. Well, Pat, again, thank you so much. Always a pleasure to talk to you. You're one of the first people I met in this industry. We both started, I think you were about a year before me or so. And yeah.
We'll hang out for 1 minute before as we shut down here, Pat, and then give us a second.
I'm still curious. How did I lose all my hair?
I know. I have no idea. I'm surprised.
You keep getting younger and better looking, and I look like the freaking after picture of.
No, I'm getting gray.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Yeah,
and if somebody wants to get the online stuff, did you know what's the website for Sales Boost?
Yep. So just go to salesboostlive.com. Check it out.
Salesboostlive.com.
Yep. And registration link is there. The cool thing we're doing too is on the badges. We have the schedule on the badges, and on the back, we're actually going to have a map of all the cool things around there. Friday night is go-kart night. But we have a whole map of different things, restaurants and everything, kind of sightseeing around there. That'll be on the back as well. Kind of a guide, if you will.
Go-kart.
Awesome.
I'm on my way.
I know.
Guys, thank y'all for watching. We sure appreciate you.
Appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Take care.